There are so many ways to engage students in energy topics.
Energy is a fantastic topic for learning for students in school, out of school, wherever that might be, because it is so pervasive.
The energy sector is just so large, it's so vast that you could really dive into a lot of different areas.
It seems to me that science education really is about use the big ideas of science to explain phenomena and solve problems. And so energy provides that context to achieve those in a way that students are genuinely interested in and see as an important part of their futures.
Energy is incredibly relevant across the K-12 spectrum. It offers students of all ages countless opportunities to engage in every one of the science and engineering practices at varying levels of complexity, from the basics to advanced inquiry and engineering.
At elementary, we're beginning the exploration of, as an example, energy as a theme. And so we're looking at a transfer of energy. That could be two things colliding. That could be magnets. That could be basic electricity, and wires and light bulbs and things like that.
You can look specifically at fourth grade and think about how do waves and energy play into the transfer of energy. And then also when you're in fifth grade and up into middle school, there's tons of opportunities to think about human impacts as it relates directly to energy transfer and energy consumption.
As we move into middle and high school, we can explore the scientific principles of atoms, or chemistry of batteries, electromagnetism in motors and generators, or the forces that act on turbine blades through energy topics.
So I have pulled in the PV cells into my chemistry content. We do a lot of modeling of the layers of the cells and the doping of the silicon and how the atomic properties of the elements that are used allow for current to be generated from sunlight.
One of the projects that kids, sixth graders love is building solar houses and then tying in all this different circuitry and having them explore the solar circuits. They love that.
And of course, there are so many opportunities for engineering design.
We go through a small, we call it engineering slice because it's not to the same depth, that they look at optimizing the output of a solar cells that they have, solar array that is in a local park.
Another project that I've worked on has been the solar cars and taking kids to competition. We kind of build the cars in the classroom and learn all about the circuits and the gearing and just the design and redesign.
The biggest project that I've done so far with this program is I had my high school students design a solar panel installation for the roof of a local high school there.
We can also engage students in topics from understanding the human and environmental impact of our choices, learning about energy equity in the community, and exploring energy and climate science and solutions.
We bring in energy throughout the year in a unit called Electricity, Power Production, and Climate Science. That one starts with what's called the Voices of the World activity, where they really kind of just role play different people around the world and the impacts that power production and the climate has played in their lives.
We look at the manufacturing of the silicon and the doping and the energy that goes into that process, and then the benefit in using the PV cells.
After a year of physics and earth science, they are tasked with creating a 50-year energy plan for the state of Oregon.
As you can see, energy touches every discipline and is a highly relevant topic that you can use to meet many of your classroom's learning goals.
It's not only current in that it's actually happening, but it's just so fundamentally important to our world.
And there's efforts that have already been produced, high quality lessons, units that have already been produced by collaboration.
CE's online educator library, hosted on cebrightfutures.org, has over 150 lessons organized into more than 30 units that are freely available to any educator and cover topics from basic energy fundamentals to diverse real-world problems like energy production, plastic pollution, solar cell construction, or solar project siting. A really great way to get students to engage and be interested in problem solving is to link that to real-world problems that are local.
Providing this real-world context is so important because that's how the world actually works. This is real life skills versus teaching more just kind of theoretical concepts.
We can think about these big, authentic, local, relevant, juicy problems as open-ended ways for all kids, despite what their background might be, to be able to have skin in the game.
It brings relevance to students, context to learning, fun to the classroom.
It's a whole lot easier to teach motivated students. And when they see why they're needing that information, they're going to go a lot deeper.
We're working on a project where we're building something called a cycle car. We have an area that has a lot of potential for wind development. So I was like, okay, well, we'll look at wind for charging the batteries. And then they started asking about alternative fuels. You know, can we use biodiesel?
A lot of trucking happens in Northwest Arkansas. So we have a unit where kids engineer and design balloon cars, and then we power them with an exothermic reaction. It's hydrogen peroxide and yeast. It's a small scale model of a combustion engine.
If we give them opportunities to learn and effectively learn science, but also apply that to solving something that's literally right outside their door, then they get to have a say-so in changing the world around them, and that's empowering for all kids.
And then suddenly it matters for them to know that.
What's happening in energy right now is real, it's relevant, and happening in real time. And that right there you have a classic example of the engineering design process unfolding.
We've got a massive task ahead of us to clean up our entire energy industry.
Around energy, we have to update, we have to change. So how can we have students say, can you imagine a world that looks like this? For some of our energy partners, that world is very near, they can see it. How do we help our students see it?
It could be exploring a local solar installation, visiting a local utility. It could be doing a home energy audit or studying the regional energy mix or policies to see where their energy comes from or what impacts it has and what goals there are for the future.
This isn't a problem with one solution. And the more ways we can help students see how people are currently trying to solve these problems, we can get them excited and hopeful for a solution that includes them.
A really great way to bring real-world problems that are relevant to your local community to the students is building local partnerships.
Partnering with a local industry, partnering with a local nonprofit, partnering with a local expert.
This has been a really great learning experience because it was one where I got to work with industry partners the most. And I think that's a great reality check as a high school teacher.
Industry brings that context, that authentic audience, that this is how we're using this is how we're trying to solve the problems of the day to the classroom so that students say, I talked to an engineer, or I got to see how my solution or things like this is working in this place.
There are opportunities both inside and out of the classroom to engage with partners. Everything from field trips to internships, classroom presentations, or having some of these professionals come and serve as judges for engineering challenges, which we've heard a lot of folks doing.
Offer an opportunity for a professional to come in and say, here's what I do, here's where I got my training, here's a problem I'm trying to work on right now.
It not only makes it more interesting for the students, it makes it more interesting for the teachers and educators. It also increases retention for the students.
The other thing is that we have to start bringing in more mentors.
And developing deeper relationships with some of these companies might create opportunities for mentorship for students, particularly girls, students of color, and students in rural communities that may not get access to that kind of support.
We reached out to our neighboring high school, and so the instructor of the small engines class was able to bring over several small engines and his students taught our students about the parts of a combustion engine and about optimizing the performance of engines. It was a really cool day.
In addition to providing opportunities to spark engaging inquiry and engineering design challenges, partnering with industry helps students to be better informed to make choices about what types of careers they might want to pursue and prepare themselves to graduate career ready.
We need to get our kids ready and prepared to take the jobs that are going to be available to them.
Educators know how to educate, and industry knows what they need taught.
And for students today, how exciting is it for them if they had an idea where they wanted to go, that they knew that sooner and could just get involved in these opportunities without going to college for one thing and discovering later in their career they want to go do something else.
So we're developing relationships with the K-12 system, first and foremost to get young people excited about the idea of getting a job in manufacturing.
What my passion is to get people out of industry to come and enter into a classroom, either to run their own classroom or work alongside a classroom teacher to teach those skills that can't necessarily come out of a book.
So finding a way so that educators know what it is that industry needs, but at the same time having industry help the educators know what it is that needs to be the end result, and then trusting that the teachers will know how to teach that is really a critical handshake.
One of the best ways that teachers can learn to build 21st century skills in their students is to actually see them in action in the workplace.
So one of the things that we have talked about doing with one of our local school districts is having them bring teachers here and showing them what manufacturing is like, maybe even teaching them a few basic rudimentary skills.
We do that in field trips whenever possible, like to go actually physically visit some sort of a manufacturing facility or some sort of design office or engineering firm.
It may be interesting just to come down and just see what it looks like.
See what people are really doing. Ask them what kind of problems they're trying to solve right now. And then think about how you can take that problem back into your 5th grade classroom or your 7th grade classroom and tweak it and allow your students to come up with a way to solve that problem. They might just figure out something that the industry partner hasn't already done yet.
We have seen industry partnerships work well as a key strategy for engaging students in relevant, meaningful problems in energy and building those critical 21st century career and leadership skills. There are a lot of folks in the industry ready to offer their time and expertise to help build the next generation of clean energy leaders.
This is the problem of our day. We need all of our students to be thinking about solutions to our energy problems, to our climate change problems.
Know that there's already good stuff out there to start with, and then you might need to modify it for your own classroom or context, and that can be fun work too, especially if you have collaborators to do it with.
Check out all of the videos in CE's Powering the Next Generation Energy and Education series by visiting the links provided in the description below to learn more and get inspired about how you can bring engaging energy education to your students.
Nothing great happens if you don't work at it. And this is great work. This is important work. And it's real important for our future that we understand what the needs are and how we can make it equitable and accessible to everybody.